And she was showing on her Instagram, like, look, this lead came in. I didn't touch it. It was on Saturday. The AI agent reached out and then they booked an appointment. And she's just showing it. And like, that's pretty slick.
It is. It solves for one of the biggest problems it solved for was those after hour leads. Y'all know the average response time on those was 8 hours. Like nobody wants their employees working after hours. And so, yeah, even that, her being able to take that lead after hours and turn it into an appointment while you're asleep or spending time with your family is really valuable in itself.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Cam Hemphill, your host of the Medical Millionaire podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. My goal is to give incredible value and insight for practice owners. So if you're looking to scale your practice, looking to grow, implement the latest technology, the latest mindset, skill sets, understanding how to run your practice efficiently, effectively, and ultimately potentially get you in a position to sell and create generational wealth. This podcast, we talk about everything. And so today I have an incredible guest on, and I've known this woman for a long period of time. She truly is a trailblazer when it comes to innovation, tech, AI, working with a very powerful company, powerful brand, a company that I actually know personally, and they've been around for a long period of time. And, they're just making tremendous headway in aesthetics, and they're solving a tremendous amount of problems when it comes to running your practice efficiently, running it like a business. They have robust end-to-end solutions when it comes to CRM, when it comes to communication with your patients, AI. And so without further ado, I'm going to welcome Shannon Blake. She's the Director of Aesthetic Partnerships at Podium. Shannon, how are you? Welcome.
I'm doing well, Cam. As a longtime listener of Medical Millionaire, it's always a treat to come on and be a guest and not just a listener. So thank you so much for having me and very excited about this topic.
Of course, yeah. You've been on before. We love having you. And when I peel back the curtain at Podium, it just seems like you guys are consistently innovating, consistently raising my eyebrows with like, what are they up to? What are they continuously doing? Huge, headwind with AI. You have payments, you have CRM, you have this whole new operating system. This is new stuff. And I'm curious to know for the audience, like what is this whole AI operating system that you guys have now brought to the market? Why did you bring it to the market? What problems are you seeing and what are you guys trying to solve?
Yeah, so happy to answer that, but I think it would be helpful for anyone who is not as familiar with Podium to like take a step back and kind of share with y'all our history in aesthetics. Cam mentioned a couple of features that we brought to the table when we entered this space about 2.5 years ago. So we're all things considered a very newer tech in the industry. But initially we joined the industry because we knew that we could solve a very important problem of just consolidation of communication and consolidation of leads. And that is inclusive of like your phone system integrated with your texting platform, your text marketing coming from the same phone number as your one-to-one texting and your phone solution. And pretty quickly, once we were in the industry, we realized, yes, bringing all leads into a single platform and all communication into a single platform is valuable, but it was still quite difficult for our clients to be able to get back to every single lead or every piece of communication that came in within 5 minutes, which was the industry expectation, the consumer expectation at that time. So we built Avery, and Avery, we've actually been building Avery for a couple of years. She is our AI employee, and her main purpose initially, we'll talk about her current solution and what she solves for today, but initially was just to get back to every single lead in under 2 minutes and speak as if she was a member of your team. Having her trained on your services, your price points, your treatment plans, your membership packages, everything from A to Z. We knew especially with some of the folks that were dealing with staffing shortages, she could not only solve that speed to lead issue, but she could also pick up some of the very time consuming work that comes with responding to questions that are always coming in about different services and treatments. So launched her out into the market over a year ago. She's been our fastest growing product actually to date here at Podium, which has been really fun to see. That was really nice timing with when OpenAI came out with really one of the biggest first LLMs and changed the game. So that's been really fun. But to answer your question on this new AI operating system and why we built it, So I think everyone listening to this podcast is going to really relate to this comment. But we have learned through client feedback that technology in aesthetics specifically is a couple things. It's fragmented. A lot of folks are using a CRM that's not integrated with their EMR. They've got a different phone system that's not integrated with their texting. It's really a lot of folks are using about 4 to 5 different systems is what we found. But also as we listened to our client feedback, nobody loved their EMR. And we started doing a deep dive into why this might be. And this is like our findings and like Shannon's theories, but, and this might be an unpopular opinion. However, EMRs have actually quite a good retention rate of their clients. And that has allowed them to be a little bit more stagnant and not as fast growing. Whereas with Podium, we've always been a luxury add on product. We weren't the main system that they ran their business through with their payments and scheduling, their charting and forms. So we are a luxury add on, which means we can't be still. We have to move fast. We have to be innovative. We have to be scrappy. We have to show value, or it's very simple for folks to just, end the relationship with Podium, which obviously we didn't want. So taking this all into consideration, knowing that we've got funding, we've got resources, we love to build modern tech that's intuitive, easy to use, cutting edge. We felt like, and we couldn't get the integrations that we wanted. I think that's worth noting. So we had to go build the whole damn thing ourselves. And I feel like we were perfectly set up to do so because Podium, all things considered, was a really modern tech platform. And for some of these EMRs that have been around for a long time, the foundation of their system is just old tech. So it's going to be quite difficult for them to move as quickly and being able to build more modern solutions, leveraging this AI on top of that. And it was obviously we were positioned to be able to move really quickly, which is what we've done. Let me answer the question on AI operating system, because you might be wondering, like, what exactly is that and how is it different from an EMR? So if you think about having your EMR, your CRM, your phone system, your text and email marketing all in one solution, and now with the involvement of AI and having an AI employee, if Avery, this AI employee, can have access to every piece of information, every conversation, every detail around what clients have purchased, she can do really incredible things. And Cam, I do want to talk about one of the most valuable things that she can do now that she is managing and has access to all information in this operating system is she can manage your scheduling end to end, period. Like no human should have to go back and forth and manage scheduling appointments. So I would say that's one of her biggest value adds is being able to own that full scheduling piece. But then you think about, like, I'm sure many of you have heard of how charting is moving to leveraging AI to listen to that appointment and then fill out the form, or not fill out the forms, but fill out the charts in all of the right fields where you want them. Like there's so much Avery, this one AI employee, can do once she has access to all your systems, which is just Podium now in this AI operating system. That was a lot. So I'll pause there.
That's a huge announcement. It's a huge update. I mean, I've known Podium for many many years. I mean, shoot, I think when the company, what was it founded? 2010, something like that.
2014.
14. Okay. So 4 years off. I mean, I'm originally from Salt Lake City, Utah. You guys are headquartered out of Lehigh, Utah, Silicon Slopes. I mean, just to build on that for a second, there are so many powerful entrepreneurs, inspirational, influencers. Utah has something at heart, right? And really, it's like, there is a ton of innovation that comes out of this state. Truly, there is. Podium sitting right in the center of all of it. You guys, headcount at Podium. What is headcount there?
We have just over 1,000 employees.
1,000 employees. I mean, I've been to your HQ. It's phenomenal. You guys have beautiful buildings, and you guys have done such a great job. And I can talk of that because I was a local before I decided, I guess, to uproot my family and head down to the beach. But I just want to let the audience know that is you guys have been around a long time, and originally it started out as a review platform, a feedback loop, right? Still one of your core features in products, and it's really served the medical aesthetics industry very well in terms of helping patients give feedback when it comes to the practice with ease through text, email, all the immediate feedback loops that you have. Then you guys go on, you launch a CRM system which has triggers, automations, it has AI. And you mentioned one thing when you were talking about the AI. I want you to talk more about the LLMs, right? The learning language model,
Yeah.
because I think most people are curious. If I'm like from a provider standpoint, how does Avery get smarter, right? How are these LLMs becoming just more powerful? How are they continuing to learn? Because that's important, right? As they continue to use the product and adapt to the product, as the patient is interacting, Avery's interacting back, they have to become smarter. There's so much time saved. I mean, talk to us a little bit about that first off.
Yeah, so for those of you that are the AI geeks out there and know all the LLMs, Podium actually initially built Avery off of OpenAI, like I mentioned, but pretty quickly we realized there are a lot of really good competitors who are good in different ways. You know that Gemini for Google, for example, there's all these different ones that have their different strengths. So today, Podium has actually evolved, and Avery now references 20 different of the top LLMs for various types of tasks that she's doing. And what's really interesting is it actually, this is maybe getting too detailed into the weeds, but I think it's helpful to understand so that you can get like her true value. Every single text that comes in for one of our aesthetic practices clients, Avery is making 50 calls to different LLMs to compile and spit out the response to that single text to make sure that it is the absolute best response while also tapping into all of the specific practices training that was given to them that is specific and tailored to that practice. So how she is like self-learning. Originally, Avery didn't self-heal. She would actually reply. And if the practice didn't like the reply from Avery, they would do a thumbs down and type in some feedback of how they would like to have tweaked her response. That went to a Podium engineer. And y'all can imagine as we grew to over 1,000 locations using Avery as an employee, that was not scalable for a human to have to go in and research and determine and make tweaks. So Avery V2 was launched about 6 months ago, and she's completely self-healing. We actually had to build mini AI agents behind Avery so that when feedback was provided, it would go to these agents and they would run through a bunch of different data on the back end, reference these LLMs, and then spit out a new response to make sure that the practice would be comfortable with that. This is what she would say in the future. And it's automatically self-healing. You don't need to assume it's going to anyone to make any changes. You know that in the future, Avery's not going to make that same mistake twice. So it's pretty,
Interesting.
it's really nice because all of you, I'm sure, have played around with ChatGPT and understand the general idea of giving feedback. If you have it write an email for you, you can write a feedback around, hey, I want you to sound a little less professional or make this more concise. That's how you give Avery feedback. It doesn't need to be pretty or well thought out. You just dump your thoughts in there and then she will self heal moving forward.
You know, it's interesting when you bring up ChatGPT, and I don't want to get too sidetracked. I use it extensively. I use a tremendous amount of AI products. You know, just some of my favorites out there. Obviously, the GPT models. Claude is something I've become a huge fan of, and also Gamma. And there's different reasons. And what I found with even my ChatGPT LLM is it's learning more and more about me. It's becoming this extension of me. It's kind of creepy, but it's efficient. You know, it knows where I live. It knows my style. It knows what hobbies I like because I talk to it a lot. Like I have all these different models and projects in there. And I can ask it various questions like investment advice, for example, and it will reply back and say, well, Cameron, you're a very sophisticated investor and you've done all these things, and it has all the history. And so, you know, just to build on what you're saying, I love the fact that she's self-healing because I can understand the initial frustration of not getting those adequate responses, right? And I think that's always the fear. It's like, hey, we want to use AI agents like broadly, right? Let's say from a macro standpoint, sounds great. Give me 100 of them. You know, have them do everything for me, right? But also, what if they make a mistake? And that mistake can be costly for a practice. Let's just say, for an example, a patient, you know, inquires, they're going back and forth, and maybe it's not the tone or the dynamic of the practice, or they recommend a wrong treatment or a wrong service, right? And you guys have done a wonderful job of building on, you know, your AI agents and making them self heal. Love the fact that you guys have released that, and I think it's a true testament to who you are as a company, and also just giving that intrinsic value to practice owners and ultimately the patient experience, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and Cam, I want to say something to that point of she's always learning more about you. Avery is learning about your clients, and I'm speaking
Mm-hmm.
to a practice. She is learning buying behavior. She is learning how often they're coming in. She understands what are the insecurities. Because Podium now is the EMR, the CRM, the marketing, everything, she has all the information. She has the phone conversations. She has the texts. She has which promotions you're running that people are taking advantage of. She knows more than you will ever be able to know, and in a more efficient way. So that's what starts to get really exciting is what's coming in the summer for Avery is what we're calling revenue mining. And that will allow Avery to start following up with folks that bought a retail product that she knows is going to run out in 30 days from now. Her proactively reaching out to Amber and letting her know that the IS pill treatment that they purchased a month ago should be running low. We've got it stocked here in the practice. Would love to have you pop in and get that replenished. She will know if somebody came in for Botox and it's been over 4 months and for whatever reason they're not rebooked. She will proactively follow up with them and get them back on the calendar without any human having to do anything. So it gets really exciting if you start thinking about an AI employee that has access to all this information and what she can do proactively without any more resources, because we're all running a little thin in this industry. A lot is being asked of you, and there's so much that's going to be able to take off your plate, but also drive you revenue and make you more profitable.
Wow, you guys are solving some big shit. But I'm just going to say it that way because, uh, look, in today's environment, from a practice standpoint, look, I own some practices through private equity. I've consulted some practices. I've been pretty hands on in some and distance from others. But me owning Growth 99 for many years, I had thousands and thousands of conversations with practice owners and the challenges, right? And so let's take it from a lead standpoint. Inquiry comes in, that could be a specific text or an email or a lead form or an ad that comes into historically like an inbox, and then finally got it into CRM, and now it's finally has an AI agent that can follow up with it. But what you're saying is Podium has now taken it to the next level because you saw this deep challenge. You saw the same lens of frustration of, hey, this is fragmented. You have to have 4 or 5 pieces of tech, API them together, or copy and paste data while the practice is running at full RPM. Full RPM. Typically, the provider owner is visiting patients. And how can a provider owner run an effective business seeing patients all day with fragmented technology? It's impossible. And what happens is burnout is real. I've seen practice owners have to take their entire workload charting social media content after hours, right? Because they see 15 patients a day and they don't have the resources to even work on the business. So you guys are solving real needs here. And I just want to make sure I hear it correctly. It's you're going to say it's more than an EMR. I love the term operating system because it can take inquiry to booking to ongoing booking, right? And that's a big challenge too. I don't think I know of too much tech in the industry that can flag a patient that hasn't come in a certain period of time. No, hey, you're actually due for this particular treatment. Let's take GLP-1s, right? Like, you have to re-up every 30 days. Like, the product
Yep.
goes out,
Yep.
right? You have to have the conversations. And so I guess you could build something that has like automated triggers post treatment. But what you're saying is this is now a self injected agent inside of the ecosystem that's going to flag Sally. She came in 2 months ago or a month ago. I'm going to self reach out to her and communicate with her and get her back on your books. And that's live today.
That is revenue mining, and that is coming out in the summer.
Okay.
So that is not, yeah, I want to be clear. That is not live today. What's live today is Avery. What she can do is obviously everything I said, respond to every single lead in 2 minutes, answer any question, fully book appointments, recommending dates, times, working through all of that. She knows how many devices you have, how many providers can manage which laser device, for example. Like she can manage all of that. And she can definitely follow up with any leads that go cold today. So if a lead comes in, she has a great conversation, the lead for whatever reason doesn't book, the lead goes quiet, Avery knows to follow up. You give her guidance on, do you want her to wait 24 hours, 48 hours? You can customize that. She'll follow up with those leads cold. What's coming is those details about proactively reaching out down the road around like
Hmm.
inventory replenishment, treatment plans that aren't being taken advantage of, memberships. We haven't even talked about that, Cam. Like memberships are
Hmm.
so underutilized. And if Avery could, depending on your membership structure, let's say it's a piggyback or a piggy bank type model, we want them using that money. Otherwise, it's just sitting as liability, right? The treatments that we haven't followed through on yet. So, her being able to follow up and let me know what outstanding funds I have. Let's get you on the books. What treatments are you most interested in right now? Answering those questions and getting them scheduled. That's all live today. The revenue mining and profitability is coming this summer. And I say this summer, but honestly, Cam, like I was just looking at the product updates that came out just last week. And there were 7 new big things that we rolled out. Like we're moving very quickly. So it would not surprise me if this comes as early as April, which we're pushing for because we would love to do a big unveiling at the Medical Spa Show in Vegas.
Coming up here, what, in April 9th, 10th, 11th, something like
Yeah,
that.
it's on the 9th through the 12th. And to your thing about mentioning an EMR, we wanted to be really mindful of what we called the system because an EMR implies a data storage spot for my charts, for my forms, for my schedule. It is not a profitability driving machine. It stores information. And that information is literally gold if you can pair it with an AI employee who is smart and can proactively create more bookings from that information. So we wanted to make sure that we named it something very strategic so that it didn't just sound like another EMR because it doesn't, that word, those 3 letters don't necessarily have a very positive perception in this industry, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a must have, and I haven't. Like some people, like there's features missing or not missing. There's a love hate for every single one of them from what I found. Right? There's some people are doing things much better than others. But yeah, to your point, it sounds to me that you're able to take a lead, you're able to automatically follow up with that, and then convert it into a booking, right? So it does have the ability to actually read all the providers' schedules. It can see when they're open. Does it have dynamic scheduling? Can it see availability and look at all the KPIs and metrics around utilization rate, all that stuff?
All of that stuff, Cam. Yeah, even down to the like suggested times to make sure that Avery's being smart about when she's scheduling that person, bumping up as close as she can next to another appointment so there's not that wasted time in between. It's interesting as we've done a lot of research on like what other EMRs are good where, and it is wild. Like so much work has gone into EMR comparison. There's all these articles out there, and I follow a lot of Facebook groups, and providers and owners will share like, I tried this one, but it didn't have anything to help me with wellness. It didn't have the e-prescribe in it, or it didn't have an integrations with labs, or the charts are really hard to use, or the forms are glitchy, not customized. And it's like, why can't somebody just go out and build the dream solution? And again, we just felt like we were positioned. We had the funding, we have the manpower, and we have the guts to go out and like dream big and build fast. And they're longer the days where you have to like compare side by side. Like it shouldn't be that way. And we really believe that we will level up all tech in this industry because it's just a different game now ever since, AI came out, what, 4 years ago now, really publicly. It's going to get really exciting. I'm just excited holistically for this industry because it's so competitive. And there's a lot of folks struggling right now because I think it probably grew faster than it should have. And so having good tech that can proactively drive revenue for you is going to be critical to survive.
No, absolutely. I mean, the fact that you guys took on that initiative. I mean, what you could have went down the path of, look, hey, we're just going to focus on making every smarter, conversion of leads, letting it inside the ecosystem, obviously building on the features that you guys already have. But you took a stance, and look, I have a lot of respect for that because I knew somebody was going to do it. I wasn't quite sure. I couldn't peg it. It's something I'm obviously very passionate about. I was consistently frustrated on generating leads for practices at Growth 99, having those leads go into our native CRM, and then being able to push those into an EMR system. And I would knock on the EMR's doors for so many years, and I would always just get pushback. And I said, in my challenge to them was, hey, look, we're the ones that's actually driving the revenue. We drive the booking. The marketing agencies, they drive the booking, right? The practice does alone. And so there's a lot of value there. And I think that they're being undervalued by the EMRs. And I think as you guys entered the market as well, you came in, you had the phones and texting was huge, right? I mean, to solve that problem was huge. Most practice owners were using this, and sure, I guess it works. They pass the iPhone on to the next provider, front desk person, whenever their shift is on. And so solving that communication gap was absolutely critical. And then you obviously bolted onto to the AI component. But why did it get to the point to where, and I know you're ambiguous company, goal oriented. Again, we talked about that. How was this decision made? I'm more curious, right? Like, why? I know. Go
Yeah,
deep with me here.
yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Avery was good, but she was very limited. And we didn't love that we didn't have payment processing data and we didn't have scheduling, which guess what? That means we can't show good reporting. Reporting is king. People want data insights. It is so valuable. And we knew if we could be the payment processor, which we already had a payment processing product that we use in other industries that we're in, but we couldn't use it because the EMRs owned it. And Avery also not being able to actually schedule the appointment, but just send a link to schedule. That really limited Avery, and she is our differentiator. She is special. We win awards for her. I'm not bullshitting you guys. Like, she is the best on the market. She is not perfect. No AI is perfect right now, but she is the best on the market, and we are constantly improving her. So that was like giving Avery a superpower. That is why we built it. And we could not get the integrations we needed, Cam. I know the EMRs out there that wouldn't take the call or take the email. They just didn't prioritize it. Their retention numbers were decent. I don't want to say they were lazy in building, but there wasn't a big motivator. Maybe they looked at us as an up and coming competitor, but we initially were not planning on building this. But when we couldn't get the integrations with the scheduling or the payments to get the data to help Avery become more valuable, we had to make the hard decision. I mean, it took us 7 months to build something pretty incredible. Really proud of that. And now that we've built the fundamentals, it is the features that we're adding weekly is like literally like 10 features, where we'll see some of these other EMRs launch something in a quarter and it's like, we built that in a day. So we feel like we're, yeah, we're just ready to like dominate this industry and give these practices the tech that they deserve and that they need in this specific time in the aesthetics industry. And that's also keeping in mind that wellness is making a run. Wellness is the future of aesthetics. And so we knew that that had to be on our mind and make sure that we were building all those features that folks were having to use other tech that wasn't integrated with their EMR to manage the wellness side of things. So that's also top of mind for us.
Yeah, that's huge. I want to get into wellness for sure because I agree. It's where everybody's going. It's an area of focus, peptides, GLP-1s, people healing from the inside out. It's so top of mind everywhere you go. A lot of conversations around safety, compliance, how do you integrate the tech? Some EMRs are very limited on how they handle wellness, and they don't have, the scripting component, right? They don't have the ability to pull all that data back into the EMR system, or AI operating system is what I'll call it. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it's a huge topic, and somebody has to solve it, right? And so when I look at Podium, the way that you guys penetrated the market, I mean, you did a phenomenal job. You truly have done a phenomenal job. Tons of respect for you. You came in, you're a true entrepreneur, honestly, Shannon.
Oh,
I've seen you cultivate relationships. I've seen you guys help so many practices. And I follow a lot of the providers that use your product, right? You have a couple out there. I won't name drop, but there's one in particular that always stands out. And she was showing the other day, I just happened to be on Instagram, and she was showing on her Instagram, like, look, this lead came in. I didn't touch it. It was on Saturday. The AI agent reached out, and then they booked an appointment. And she's just showing it. I'm like, that's pretty slick.
It
Um,
is. It solves for the one of the biggest problems it solved for was those after hour leads. Y'all know the average response time on those was 8 hours. Like nobody wants their employees working after hours. And so yeah, even that, her being able to take that lead after hours and turn it into an appointment while you're asleep or spending time with your family is really valuable in itself.
well, what's interesting too is that most of the leads that I have seen, the high quality impact, high converting leads, they do come in after hours, right? Because these are when people are outside of work. They're going to go and do the Google search on their phone, or scroll on Instagram or whatever it is outside of work, and actually have the time to make an inquiry, not just look at it and hope they see it later.
Exactly. You nailed it. It's funny that that's the personal time we get as humans is in the evening, and that is the time you're closed. So it's a major problem. It's like I think 40% of leads are coming into your website after hours. So it's significant, a significant problem. We were happy to solve it.
So, so where do you go from here, right? You guys have launched this. I know that you obviously have an ecosystem of current base clients. Do they automatically inherit it? How do they learn about it? Do they have to bolt it on, or?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we launched this just over a month ago. We have a full sales team that is proactively outreaching and just literally cold calling, Cam. Like we have a really good, hungry sales team that just picks up the phone. They have no shame and they just get them set for a demo. And we've already brought on about 100, I think we're over 150 now practices in just under a month, which we weren't quite sure how fast we'd be able to grow because switching your EMR, we thought, we didn't think, we heard it's
Mhm.
expensive, it's time consuming. And so we just weren't quite sure if we were going to be able to continue the model of like we were one call closing the old Podium, the original Podium. And so we wondered what it would do to our sales cycle. But we found that our sales cycle is only 48 hours versus 24 hours, which is wild. And that's because we've made the migration process a lot easier now with AI. A lot of that can be done in under 48 hours. It doesn't need to be this drawn out months long process anymore. So we've been very pleased at how open and willing folks are to honestly even keep paying their old EMR fee and bring on a new platform because they're like, this is going to make me money. I'll pay both totals until I'm out of contract with the other one if you guys can solve for the migration piece. So we are picking up the phone and calling on net new. And then as far as current customers, we have a full customer success manager team that is doing account reviews with our clients. And every account review, they are bringing up and showing them our new operating system. And for them to add it on is $299 a month. So it's really not a big additional expense considering that replaces their EMR and in some cases allows them to cancel a few different tech software monthly fees.
So it's a net positive at the end of the day. Yes. Okay. Let me talk about that for a sec, because I know you said that retention from, let's legacy current EMRs, their base typically is loyal because, look, it's a pain to switch, right? There's patient records, there's future appointments, there's reoccurring memberships, there's credit cards that have to be canceled, spun back up. It's a pain, and so I think practice owners get locked into this ecosystem because when can they change? And they'll just kind of put up with what they have, and hopefully that particular platform they're on will come around and release updates and features, and they're getting better, right? They're always releasing new updates and features. But what you're saying is your onboarding experience, somehow you have simplified that with AI. That's a big thing. So I want you to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's huge. It's funny, our CEO is he's a bulldog man. He has very high expectations. When he learned that the migration process for EMRs is a month at the fastest, and sometimes it takes 3 months to move things over, he immediately challenged the team that he wants that in 48 hours or less and fast because it's going to be quite difficult to get people to switch over if we're saying that this they're going to have to go through this for 1 to 2 months again. So we're really proud of how much of it we can get over within the first 48 hours. So I'll talk about that. I actually joined one of the first onboarding calls last week. And before even that first 1 hour meeting, when we start connecting like the Google accounts, because obviously we're helping you collect Google reviews, and connecting your Facebook accounts so that those ad leads and those Facebook DMs, for example, are coming into Podium. On that call, all of the like services, schedules, like current scheduled appointments, like all probably 95% of all that data had already been migrated over before that first call with that practitioner, because we get the credentials to be able to log in and start extracting all of that. So it was really cool to see their response to how much we had already pulled over. And the only thing that we hadn't pulled over yet were photos and charts, which they were still working on. And you do have a dedicated onboarding manager for the first 60 days that is doing as much of the work for you as they can. There's some things where we will tap you in to help out, but we do as much of it as possible. And like I said, like 95% of it, we can pull over without you even being on the call. Nobody from your team has to invest time. We just need login information and we're able to move it over. And best believe the challenge is still on the table. How do we get those photos and charts over just as fast? And we will, I have no doubt, solve that very soon. But it's a much easier migration process, and we don't charge any extra.
Nice. Okay. So seamless transition, easy migration. I think that's the biggest challenge. You know, it's look, the features, the benefits, the value all make sense to me. I've been in this fragmented industry for, so long, and it's nice to have a cutting edge company like yourself that is innovating in the space and truly solving this desperate need for practice owners and really giving their time back, right? That's the ultimate goal here.
Time back to focus on in-person relationships and
In-person
like
relationships.
really nailing the strategy of the consult, for example. Those are things that AI can't replace. AI cannot manage those in-person relationships and build that trust and build that credibility and be smart about the treatment plan you put them on, that it's meeting their needs and giving them the outcome that they need. That's where we want to give time back to practices to really nail that. And also for front desk to be able to go back to like being 100% engaged during the check-in and check-out process, to really educate and talk about the membership benefits and signing up new members. And maybe you have an event coming up that you want to invite them to. Like that check-in and check-out time should be uninterrupted. And that is what our AI operating system in Avery can do for the practice. So
shifting gears for a second, I want to talk more about wellness. I know we talked about it for a second, but I know, what are you guys doing in terms of solving on the wellness aspect? I have seen practices use multi EMR, like they have to, and then they have two databases of patient records. One is sending text, the other one's sending text. Like they have three different phone numbers. One is connecting with the pharmacies, the compound pharmacies. The other one isn't. So then when a practice owner says, hey, look, I've been in injectables and aesthetics and doing laser treatments, microneedling, facials for years, I want to be on this wellness bull run. But their current infrastructure and systems can't handle it, right? So they go buy another EMR, which causes more fragmentation. So talk to us. What are you guys doing there? How are you guys forward thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, the other EMRs in the market are thinking about wellness too. What's challenging is maybe they have less funding, less resources to build it. Maybe it doesn't make sense for them to build a wellness site on top of their older, more antiquated tech. Where we're starting is exactly where clients want us to start. Right out of the gate, they were like, you've got to have an integration with like DoseSpot or some e-prescribe platform. So we now have e-prescribe right inside Podium. We're in conversations with Bridgeline in talking about, a one-stop shop and being able to order all the pharmaceuticals that they need for that. Lab integrations is coming out in April. So having those integrations in there. I mean, think about, you guys, if all your wellness is inside this AI operating system, and Avery now can manage, let's take weight loss, for example, or hormones. I go to a local aesthetic practice for my hormones. I find myself managing the follow-up to make sure that I'm going in every 4 months to get my pellet. And even when I get my blood work, I'll be honest, like I don't hear from the practice on my results. I have to call in and go, did you get my results? What are my levels at? And it's not because they don't care, but there's so much going on that it's hard to remember to follow up with everyone. If you have all of this wellness data inside this operating system, an AI employee who can communicate this out, results, or remind you that you're due for your pellet, let's get you on the schedule, like that's the power. It works very similarly to the rest of aesthetics. It's just having that like e-prescribed lab integrations and the AI employee to help manage these weight loss programs, and also like the follow-up on the different, the different programs that you're on. It's going to change everything truly. And again, going back to it all being in one place versus various systems, because there are so many EMRs out there that have put a bit of focus on wellness. Maybe their CRM is just a white label that's kind of slapped on from like Go High Level, for example. That's another thing that I have to highlight. Like, we built everything in house. There's no white labeling of products, which I think it just allows your tools to be more intuitive and work more seamlessly together versus them being two different platforms that appear to be one.
Yeah, you control the code. You control the code base. You can listen to your users. I agree. Like I think Go High Level has done a pretty decent job of building out their CRM, and they have a lot of bells and whistles. But look, you have to own your own code, and I'm a big believer at that. Otherwise, you're just at the mercy of what they're developing, right? I mean, I know they have some open stuff you can kind of build on top, but that's huge. You know, the other thing too is I don't think people really understood when you were reaching out to try to do these integrations how large of a company Podium actually is. They're like, oh, they're the new kids on the block. Who knows what they'll be around. And me being from Utah, I'm like, I don't know. They're pretty big. I've been around. I mean, I don't know what your revenue is, but I know it's up there.
It is, yeah. No, we unfortunate for them, yeah, we do have a lot of money behind us. And again, I think it just goes back to how fast you can build, Cam. How
Yeah,
modern is your
true.
tech allows you to build faster. And we've just been well positioned to do so. So we're excited. We're over the moon about it. It was the right move. And hey, I wish the rest of them the best of luck. I truly hope we help level up tech around the entire industry because they deserve it. And although things have slowed up in aesthetics, wellness is going to get power where revenue is going to be up and to the right again for the folks that are smart, bring it into the practice in a very thoughtful way, and also have the technology to enable them to scale it.
Yeah, you have to have the tech, you have to have the marketing, and you have to have the fulfillment and the customer service, right? And right now that is definitely missing. Everybody wants to be a part of it. They're not sure how to be a part of it, right? So uh, today, I take GLP-1s, I microdose them, and I take peptides. I can do them from my house, right? I don't have to go to a practice. So the fact is your patients become more loyal because look, I'm a busy guy. I don't have to go anywhere and see a provider. I did in the very beginning, and now I kind of know my protocols and my stack and all that stuff, right? So I can do it right from the house, which is huge. So the fact that there's also the fulfillment, the delivery aspect of it, having the system communicate with the portal, communicate with a pharmacy, that then the patient can actually receive the drugs at their house on ice, right? And then have instructions and protocols and actually how to distribute this into their body safely is also huge.
Yep, and
Um,
that's even like how do you want to speak to your clients about the safety of it and the direction of it? Like having your AI employee know exactly the like protocols, the safety, the way in which you want to speak to your clients about it. Like that's all trained. It's yeah, it just makes your life so much easier, truly.
I love it. Well, I will see you probably at the AmSpa conference. I will be
Yes,
at 4S as well in Tucson. I don't know if you're going to be there.
we will be there.
Okay, yeah, that's coming up the end of this month.
Yep. So
Perfect.
yeah,
Okay. Look, I love having you on. Thank you so much for doing everything you're doing in the industry. Thank you for joining. If people want to connect, where's the best place for them to go to learn more?
yeah, so you can go. In fact, I should already have this memorized. Let me tell you our website, but I am a little crazy and I'll also give out my cell phone number because I love to hear from practices in the industry. So I'll give that first, then I'll give my the website address. So my cell phone is 801-979-8096. It's Shannon Blake. So text me. I'm a text girly, or feel free to give me a call. Happy to answer more questions. And then if you want to just go and learn more about it on our website, it's aesthetics www.podium.com.
Perfect. Shannon, thank you so much for joining. There you guys have it. Cutting edge firm, Podium out of Salt Lake City, Utah, Lehigh, Utah, Silicon Slopes. They're doing big stuff in aesthetics. And I'll see you soon.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Cam. Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
guys. Till next time, happy injecting.